Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream, everybody. So tonight we continue the Draculest saga because we have had we're on Vlad number three. The first Vlad was kind of sucky. The second Vlad was great. So tonight my goal is to finish conquering Transylvania from the Hungarians. Shouldn't be that hard, but the Duke of Hungary is quite strong, and he doesn't like me one bit. So, we'll see what we can do about that. Otherwise, this vassal might also become a problem. He's getting pretty big, and he's conquered some territory from the Duke of Voltenia. So, let's get moving. Also, that is true about EU4 with dev stacking. It doesn't get really good until later in the game. I'll be your store. That'll make me some extra money. Also, that is a pretty good strategy as England, because when Scotland and France are together, it can be a huge pain in the ass for you. So yes, we have the rather young Vlad III. That should keep him happy. Let's send him a nice gift, so he doesn't hate us so much. Marshal, you're the best military leader in the kingdom, but is there someone who doesn't hate me so much? You'll do. Take the lowborn. And I don't want a spy master who hates my guts, so actually, why don't we reassign you there? That is incredible for that early in the game. All right, let's have you. He really is. Yeah, keep finding secrets in the Imperial Court because I need that to go to war with other people in the realm. Send you to fix that problem. There we go. All right, so all right, we got our troops back. So yeah, the Duke of Hungary or the Duke of Transylvania is going to be a problem. I'm also going to have to do some fighting with the Holy Roman Empire, which will be a pain in the ass, to finish conquering Moldavia. Oh, nice. Let's blackmail him. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you don't pay up. Is that the Margaret of Anjou event? She was a wild person historically. You know, she was actually the historical basis for Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones. Okay, what was I doing before I got interrupted there? Right. I need you to get me some claims. Okay, I gotcha. Nice. I need to get a hook on the Emperor so I can take over these two territories from the Duke of Nicaea. And then what sort of chance would I have? I would not. Actually, I might have a chance against the Kaiser here. Nice, nice. blackmail her. Blackmailing is one of my major sources of income. Also, just to point out, Byzantium is pretty freaking thick in this game, and so are the Turks here. The Mongols are getting a little bit too close for comfort. They're looking pretty. Holy shit, 50,000 men. Also, yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on with Britain. I know England had a civil war not that long ago. France is split in half, but controls this one county down here in Spain. Castile is looking pretty good. The HRE has split up into disgusting border gore as usual. The King of Italy only controls about half of Italy. Hungary is looking gross. It looks like Poland has finally broken out from the control of Denmark, but only controls half of Poland. So, this is a weird looking map. Iceland looks normal. Iceland does look normal. So, everyone can relax. Iceland is normal. Um, well, okay, that's even. The Kingdom of Jerusalem controls some of the Holy Land, and the Kaiser controls the rest. So, it's a weird world we've created. I can probably. Yeah, okay, so new Duke of Transylvania. Why do you hate me? Lots of reasons. We'll deal with that. He's going to be a problem. Oh, yeah, no, that's. Once you figure out how to use those, the estates, things get really interesting. Because you can make boatloads of money very quickly. Now, let's try. Oh my god. What's wrong with his face? This game can make some real freaking abominations in the character models. Hmm. Sure. Sure, let's name the girl after the person you want to name her after. She might be my heir. Ooh, somebody has the lover's pox. Let's see if she'll pay us for that. Yes, take that claim. And I will. Ah, damn it, lost it. She was the Duke of someplace down here. Ah, Dyrrachion. Yeah, I will take that money, thank you. Yeah, there's some not particularly politically correct things happening in Crusader Kings. Okay, no, you keep looking. I need a hook on the Emperor. Oh, we finished a building. Nice. Oh, okay. You can get Jewish advisors in Crusader Kings 2 and 3, actually. He's a witch. Blackmail the witch. And I'll take that money, thank you. Who the hell knows? I hope not. Okay, we need to. Very nice. Wonder if I can. Yep, I can upgrade the keep here. So let's make Turgovista into an even larger military stronghold. We have discovered banking. Good to know. And I can get some money out of you. Yep, I will take that. Thank you very much. Another daughter. Let's see, actually, what's my first daughter up to? Okay, she's a genius and she's attractive, so she's good. Hopefully. I mean, if I remember it, communism was the most powerful one in Vicky 2, or that you can get some real interesting shit going on with the communists at the very least. Okay, this is a perfect chance to attack. Nice, nice. Let's blackmail you. Ah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that mod has some idiosyncrasies to it. Um, I find it's fun, but okay, this should be pretty easy. He has less than half of the men that I do, so. But I am losing some to attrition, so I'll move these guys back. Also, yeah, no, just between those two nodes, you can make the English Channel absurdly valuable. Hmm. What are you the Duke of? Okay. I'll give him a hook. Oof, yeah, no, Anglicanism can get you big money. Ah, shit. Alright, so the save scumming is starting early because I messed that one up. Very nice. Yeah, I love how you can get merchants with the trade companies. That was a good addition that they made. All right, back to it. Well, that's certainly a downgrade if I've ever seen one. Come on, kill all these dogs. Yes, I will take that money, thank you. Well, that's interesting. I don't really know what to say to that. I am gonna hire some mercenaries. I love how they reformed mercenary companies in CK3. These are much better than they were in CK2. Icelandic Canada. I don't even know what. I can't even begin to think of what that would look like. Witchcraft. If she weighs more than the duck, she must be a witch. I shouldn't be having my spy master do that because it's stressing me out. Doesn't really seem to have negatively impacted my fertility much, though, because I'm about to spawn a third child. Yes! Son got the genius trait. Yeah, no, they really fixed mercenaries in CK3. Finally got one with genius. My skilled vassal. Yeah, let's go with that. I can trust him. I hope. Alright, that's a start. We control the main province that we need, but we have taken some considerable attrition, so let's split the group up. I always thought that was kind of funny. I thought it would be maybe more interesting if genius was a trait that showed up later, so that you wouldn't know. But yeah, how would you precisely tell that your newborn baby was a genius? Well, that's interesting. I mean, she's not of my dynasty, so I don't really care. Well, I might have to deal with a rebellion. That'll suck. Also very nice. That is a boatload of money in EU4. This attrition is unreal. We need a new chancellor. Yeah, Hungary is in a state of civil war. Yeah, no, England is one of the most OP countries in the game if you know how to play it. This attrition is ridiculous. I mean, yeah, when you're when your homeland is basically unassailable, it conquest gets much easier. Damn it. Yeah, they spread me thin. Nope, bad, 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 bad. Stop. Don't do that. Damn it. All right, time to regroup. I can still win this one. Let me see about a second mercenary company, though. Early game Brandenburg is painful, I'll give you that. But once you get to the point where you can form Prussia, you are a terror. And then you're basically the number one world power once you've united Germany. You don't even need colonies. Alright, I'm no longer steward. You can eat a dick, Emperor. I need to catch this person and slaughter his army. Okay, I'm the marshal now. I'll take that. Yeah, and they make some good trade goods is the main thing, especially late game once you get high production. All right, I have a second son who is also a genius. Yeah, I just need to keep the Duke happy. Don't need him rebelling against me. That is also true, but you get some good trade opportunities in northern Germany, like with the Hanseatic trade cities, and that can make you very wealthy. I need this asshole king of Hungary to sit still for just a few minutes so I can finish slaughtering him. There we go. Got it. Now, let's give this to someone of my dynasty if we can. Or I give it to my marshal. No, no, that would make the Duke of Transylvania hate me. My nephew, though, I can give him some land. There we go. Alright, so the circle of Vlads continues. So we will have a Vlad the Fourth, which will be good. Just continue this trend. Get another perk. Take that. And time to build up my home provinces down here in Tirgovist, because some of my vassals are looking uncomfortably thick. And I don't want to deal with them rebelling. I'll also probably upgrade this keep when I get a chance, because this is one of my most valuable counties, being my main trade port. It'll also allow me to upgrade the trade port itself. Exactly, we will have an unending line of Vlads from start to finish. Wait, can I go to war? I can go to war, okay. That's not bad. So yeah, once my mana restored, it looks like I no longer need a hook on the Emperor to actually go to war. Which should speed things up considerably. I can probably do that. I can probably do that. See if he has any of age relatives. Go full Habsburg. We'll have the best chins in all Europe. Let's give her patience. I have dark thoughts. Yeah, let's get drunk. Couldn't hurt. I will take that claim, thank you. Alright, we have almost 10,000 men at our disposal. How about we go to war with this asshole now? Let's unite our territories. Yes. More chins than brains. That's the ideal way to play. If it worked for the Habsburgs, it'll work for me. Oh, I can demand payment. Yes, I will take that, and take that. Fund my war effort. Thank you. I mean, I know I blackmailed you to get it, but still thank you. I'm gonna be a polite blackmailer. Nah, if it worked for the Habsburgs, it will work for me. Can't fail. Can't go tits up. Nice, but I need more county control. Where's my marshal? Yeah, I need to... No, wait, actually. Not there. There. My much more valuable province. There we go. Where did the enemy army... Okay, there he is. I wonder what he's trying to do here. I mean, I'm about to take these provinces. All right, he's coming in. So, I gotta go with the Pharaoh because here's the thing: Ramses II was so utterly prolific, he was able to staff his regime entirely with his own children. Where did they find all those dudes from? Holy shit! Yeah, by the time Ramses reached the end of his life, his regime was staffed with his own children almost entirely. It was honestly impressive. And the Habsburgs weren't so inbred that they were going sibling to sibling. The Habsburgs were more often than not cousin marriages. But no, actually, the Egyptian idea of like bloodline purity was so strong that they did marry brother to sister for the longest time. Yeah, those were all legitimate. Polygamy was pretty common. Holy shit, where are all of these guys coming from? He must have formed an alliance. Well, shit. But yeah, no, those were his legitimate children. Some of them by his sister, some of them by some cousins, some of them by women who were completely unrelated to him. But they were all his kids. Ramses II was one of the greatest gigachads who ever lived. There aren't any world leaders today who could claim they could staff an entire government with their own kids. It's probably a good thing, but still, you can't beat that level of Chad. They just don't make them anymore. Again, probably a good thing, but they don't make them anymore. Also true. True. The Egyptian government was far smaller and much less complex than pretty much any government you have today. But still, though, like, I mean, imagine if everyone working at the DMV was related to each other. That'd be something else. Fickle's fine. You're not my. I don't know. I know. I've had some interactions with him that have made me wonder. But let's call our ally into this one, and we're gonna have to go into debt. This attrition is unreal. Yeah, Ramses just did not stop. Um, he was one of the most. The only person I can think of off the top of my head who is more prolific in terms of people related to him by blood would be Genghis Khan, who every single day is the birthday of one of Genghis Khan's descendants. And 5% of the entire human population is a direct descendant of his. I can't speak to basketball players. My knowledge is pretty limited to Mongolian emperors and the like. Damn it. That didn't go how I hoped it would. But I'll move you down here. Hopefully pick up some more dudes. No armies to raise, but hopefully we recover from that attrition soon. Because if we got 9,000 men to attack them, that would probably be pretty good. All right, we caught them off guard, so maybe we can eliminate them before the other half. There we go. Charlemagne was also, I mean, yeah, Charlemagne was also pretty fucking prolific, although he doesn't often get talked about much for it. But if you have any amount of Western European ancestry, there is a halfway decent chance Charlemagne is somewhere in your family tree. Because most of Europe's major dynasties are to some degree related to the Carolingians. So like the Habsburgs, the Hohenzollerns, several French dynasties were all a part of Charlemagne or descended from Charlemagne's lineage. But especially if you're of French or German descent, there is a very high chance Charlemagne is in your family tree. Yeah, I think you'd have a number of competitors, but also yeah, that's the other thing is Charlemagne had I've got some French and German in there, so get in line. But Charlemagne is one of those guys who just the dude got around. We actually don't have an accurate count on the number of bastards he had. We have a pretty good idea of the number of legitimate kids, but he had an absurd number of bastards. Um, I think there is. I don't know who the bastards don't, but I can't figure out who would have any kind of like who would have the legitimate claim to the kingdom of France these days. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because there haven't been a. Well, it depended. Sometimes a bastard could be legitimized, but that usually only happened if their father had no other option. Um, William of Normandy was a good example. All right, let's try to catch him. He was the big one, but there were other bastards to the point where typically the family colors or and coat of arms would be reversed if a bastard had became the leader of the family. It was a common enough occurrence that there was a specific protocol for it. Actually, I do know that there is something of a debate on the French right wing over who is the legitimate heir to the Kingdom of France, whether it's the Orleanist line or the Bonapartists. It was actually something the French right wing was talking about during World War II. Also, yeah, Voltaire had some interesting takes on that himself. In fact, if you want to get real into some of this feudalism, there might actually be a legitimate king of Jerusalem hanging around because um, it passed to the crown of Spain through the Habsburgs. The Habsburgs, at some point in their history, got a hold of the title, and I do know that all three of the Nordic kingdoms still have their monarchs, but I couldn't say as to what their bloodlines are. Um, I'm not as well versed on Viking history as I am with more southern places in Europe. Though I do know that historically a lot of Viking warlords claimed ancestry. Um, oh, he's back from typhus. Good. But I know a lot of Viking warlords did claim ancestry from some of the big name ones. Like Ragnar Lothbrok was one that a lot of people claimed to be his descendant, but there's no real way to verify that. Let's go on a binge, sure. I might have to call this war. Um, mm, yeah, gluttony's fine. Favorite Avatar episode? I watched a lot of that show as a kid, but no single episode really sticks out to me, honestly. I mean, it was a really good show. It's just an issue of I can't think of any episodes in particular that really stick out to me individually. I just remember it was a very good show. Humble's fine. I have not seen the full thing. I've seen most of it. Nope. Get out of there. This war is a huge pain in the ass. I will probably have to go watch it then. Ugh, this is painful. It's this attrition, and it takes so damn long to siege him down. I might have to add some mangonels to my army. I will definitely check that out. Then I was unaware that it was on Netflix. We've got this. This rule might require some trial and error here. You ransom him and him and can't do it. All right, these guys are really fucking pissing me off. It's white piece. I can't win this. This fucking asshole. So can I murder him for revenge? Not high enough. Oh well, we'll get him. We'll get him. We just got to recoup our losses here. Why are you guys pissed at me? It is rare to find a true friend. That is true. Yeah, I need to get out of debt first and recuperate the men that I've lost. Release her. Let's destroy this regiment. I was unaware of that, but I was aware of a rather famous phrase from the Netherlands where they said something along the lines of making money comes as naturally to a Dutchman as burning a witch does to a Spaniard. I need a marshal. That war was brutal, and nothing was really gained from it. Shit. Alright, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Well, I know we need to do that because we gotta get money. Let's keep drinking. That's never affected anybody negatively. At the very least, my son is looking good. So he should be a very successful heir. So far, Vlad the Third has kind of sucked. Hmm. What do I want him to have? Forgiving is fine. That is spectacular. Yeah, that was the the Spanish Empire ran itself into the ground in a lot of ways. They blew all the money they made from the New World colonies on frivolous wars in Europe, and it ultimately wound up costing them the empire. All right, so Nicaea might be a bit too beefy for me to actually. That was part of it, but that was just one of several nails in the coffin of the Spanish Empire. Among the others were again, and you're right. It was monetary policy largely. They were a relatively modern empire, but with medieval economic policies, which led to runaway inflation, poor land management, and again, they wasted so much of their wealth on stupid wars. All right, Hungary is in a civil war again. Yeah, I don't need that many levies from him. My domain is rather powerful. Yeah, he is strong. He is going to be a pain to deal with, but I need to deal with him. Also, yeah, no, it was they were spending the gold as quickly as they got it. It was one of the yeah, pretty much. So that it's one of the few lessons that you'd think people would remember because you learn it in just about every history class by studying the fact that you really can't print your way out of an economic tailspin. We never quite can wrap our heads around that one as a society. Because it seems like everybody instinctively, when there's an economic downturn, is just like, well, why don't we just create more money? And it usually doesn't go all that well. Actually, no. I want you here. Not yet, but there's a lot of very concerning things that are going on right now that have me pretty nervous. Are you fucking kidding me? Alright, you son of a bitch. Also true. Alright, so it's on, you asshole. Let's fucking kill him. You think you can claim my throne? Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, no, the spending is absurd. It's not going to end well because it never has. And I mean, it's there's really nothing behind the money is the other thing. All right, who can get me the best alliance? Right, shouldn't is the key thing there, but how long can people maintain confidence in a currency that has no real value? The global economy is a mess. Honestly, the entire global economy, I would argue, is it's pretty fucked, and I don't see an easy way out of it. Can you get me? Mm, nah, not gonna bother with that. What's going on here? Oh, he's waging wars on his own. Well, I've gotta murder his ass. All right, who can I invite to murder this prick who dared claim my throne? Can I bribe you? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do some nefarious shit. Yeah, I'll give you a tax lien. They are. They are a really, really bad fucking idea. Right, but that's what I'm saying is the money government fiat currency is difficult because it only really has value so long as the country issuing it says it does. So you get into kind of a weird spot here where yeah, let's go do that. Yeah, as long as people are willing to accept it, but people will lose confidence in a government that is poorly run and spending money out that doesn't exist out the ass, and I think that's what you're going to see happen. I just need this drunk ass to die. Vlad the Third sucks. Hopefully Vlad the Fourth is better. Yeah, no. I think that's part of the problem is that economies are so yeah, and that's the other thing is it isn't even physical paper anymore. I don't think we ever should have gotten off the gold standard. Is that's where I'm coming from because if there's no objective measure backing your currency, then it's not particularly valuable. There's no The paper in your wallet holds no real intrinsic value. Because before we went off the gold standard, you could go and exchange your paper currency for precious metals. Yeah. So without any kind of real value backing it, the paper is worthless from an objective standpoint. There is nothing behind it. Right, but the, there are like you could use other precious metals too. You can make a lot of money really quickly, but again, it only works if people actually have confidence in it. And yeah, pretty much every precious metal is going up in value rather quickly. Even the more base metals like copper is gaining value with alarming frequency. And I'm not much of a believer in crypto, and that's just me. But I mean, just look at what happened to the price of Bitcoin. And yeah, this part of the thing is these sort of the perfectly rational person that is described to you in economics textbooks doesn't exist. People are panicky and pretty stupid. So, yeah, if everybody was perfectly rational and reasonable, you might be able to do it, but people aren't. And this is why I argue that you need to have some kind of an objective value behind your currency that exists regardless of what the government says, so that people have confidence in the currency because there's something. I mean, I disagree with that because our economy was growing just fine up until the 70s when we got rid of the gold standard. You can print more money to help grow the economy even if you're on the gold standard. It just lowers the individual value of each dollar, which is what we do now. Except now there is absolutely nothing behind the dollar. The only reason the US dollar is still doing well is that it's still the world reserve currency, which, given that we have a rising multipolar world, also, yeah, Bretton Woods Agreement, given that we have a rising multipolar world, who the hell knows what the reserve currency of the future will be, or if there even will be a reserve currency? I mean, China has been making one hell of a push to get the yuan accepted as the reserve currency, and Russia is doing whatever it can to ditch the dollar. So it's going to be a real. Yeah, I know, but it's we live in an age of currencies backed by approximately fuck all. So I guess one piece of paper is no real better than any other from my perspective, but you get into the situation where China it's easy to displace because there's no value behind any of them. So how much trouble would it really be for countries to change one set of paper for another? There's no and the other thing that makes me skeptical of paper currency, or at least fiat currency, is that you'll notice even after we've gotten off the gold standard, no government has ditched its gold reserves. Fort Knox is still loaded to the gills with gold and precious metals. The government certainly hasn't ditched their stock of it. So I think you're gonna see shit getting real weird. Also, she'd be good if she weren't blind. That's too. Wait, hold on. I can get beautiful. That'd be good. Breathe that into the line. But China and Russia are both doing their best to get rid of the dollar as the world reserve currency. I don't think Russia wants to replace it with the ruble. It really couldn't. But China wants to replace the dollar with the yuan as the world reserve currency. Now, could they do it is a completely different issue. The fact that they want to should be concerning enough. All right, we'll lower Crown Authority. That's fair. I'm just saying is people only really have confidence in the money so long as the government actually has the confidence of the people. It's all tied together. So if you get a situation where you have a government that's rapidly losing the confidence of the people, people will also lose confidence in the money issued by that government. So all it would really take, I think, is a big stock market crash to cause that. But also, you're correct. China is making major economic inroads throughout the world. Belt and Road Initiative is just one of them. They've also effectively colonized Eastern Africa. So for my taste, the fiat currency is a bit flimsy for my liking. And historically, this is pretty unprecedented because throughout the entire history of paper currency, it originates way back in Imperial China, but throughout the entire history of paper currency, there was always something backing it. There was a store of physical value behind it. It was originally designed to make gold and silver precious metal currency easier and safer to carry around. Right, and I'm not saying China isn't in a rough spot. I'm saying pretty much everybody's in a rough spot because the economic system that we have is almost doomed to collapse. If you look at it from the fact that there's nothing behind any of it. There's no objective store of value. The issue with confidence for me is that it's completely subjective. It completely depends on how people feel about the asset or the currency. There's no intrinsic value, independent from what people think of it. Whereas people have always wanted. Looks like the Mongols collapsed. That's good. But people have always wanted gold. People have always wanted silver. Um, they've never really gone out of style, and precious metals have always held some degree of objective value to pretty much everybody. So it gave you this store of value independent from people's subjective perception of the currency that operates on its own. The problem when you switch to complete fiat currency is you get this situation where they're all claiming the throne. Damn it. I need Vlad the Third to die. He sucks. Also true, but that's why gold has always been more valuable than silver is because it doesn't react with anything. It's why it's one of the few metals you can actually eat because it doesn't react with anything in your body. Oh, this asshole! All right, I need to kill you. All right, time to hire some mercenaries. But his silver does corrode over time, but it's almost always been held as a store of value as well. Yeah, so there are ways to store it that can mitigate that, but you are correct. Silver does corrode. Gold doesn't at all, though, and that's why it's always been a very good store of value. And yes, from an objective standpoint, you're probably right. But and also, yeah, silver doesn't last as long. But you are correct that they are just a lump of metal. But they're a lump of metal that people have always seemed to want. And also, yeah, currency itself is kind of a weird idea because there's no basis for it in nature. It's something that is it's entirely a construct of mankind. We're the only species that worries about it. But it beats the hell out of the barter system, so there's that. Oh, you son of a bitch. But you are correct, and I mean, let me tell you and yeah, I the way I look at money is that it's basically a store of labor. So your labor is done in exchange for currency, and the currency allows you to spend that labor when you need it. So you always have labor ready to be spent when you need a good or service. That's how I view money. Other people view it differently, but that's how I do. So I would prefer it personally if there was an objective backing to my labor. Because the paper that I'm issued is just it's just paper. And it's only as valuable as the government really says it is. And the government can at any point decide to print more money and make my labor worth less. That's my issue with it. Whereas with gold, there's only a finite amount of it. So yeah, you can mine more gold, but the rate at which you can mine gold is far slower than the rate at which you can print money. So the labor I have saved up through my currency is not going to lose its value as quickly due to inflation from endless money printing. And that's really what the endless money printing is. It's sort of an indirect tax on the working and middle classes because it devalues the labor they have saved up in their bank accounts. And yes, it is only as valuable as the market says it is, but unlike paper currency, it has intrinsic value. People want it and are willing to pay for it. So it has value unto itself, whereas paper currency is inherently worthless. There's it's only useful for exchanges. It has no value unto itself. It used to represent gold, physical gold. That's why the dollar has gotten the inflation has gone so fucking absurd over the last roughly when did we get off the gold standard? It was the 70s. So part of the reason inflation has been so bad is again it used to actually have some intrinsic value behind it, but it doesn't anymore. Also, yeah, an ounce of gold is an ounce of gold, no matter what time period you're in. But $1 loses its purchasing power rather quickly, and the same goes for any other paper currency, a British pound, a euro. They lose their value because there's no intrinsic value to them beyond what the government says there is. So I am no. Screw you guys. We're going to war. Yeah, there is a long history of people believing what the government tells them and getting completely burned by it. I don't like the idea that the government can alter the value of my labor post hoc. Okay. Time to kill these assholes. Yeah, precious stones are another store of value that has an objective worth to it. People have always wanted them. And as a paper currency is people only want it because it represents the ability to make transactions, but it hasn't got any value on its own. Also, this is going poorly. I don't think anybody really knows what socialism is. I have a lot of issues with it personally, but a lot of Marx's logic is pretty bad. Um, and it only really works for urban industrial societies, as evidenced by the fact that, well, China and Russia were largely agrarian societies that had a hell of a time trying to implement it. Um, I might lend it more credence as an ideology if literally every attempt of it hadn't ended in millions of corpses. And this is the thing you got to look out for with any utopian ideology, any of them, because they're all bad. But any utopian who is fighting for heaven on earth can basically use anything as justification for what they're doing. So, yeah, it is authority. Well, the Marxian pipe dream is that the government then turns the good it back over to the people. It would be like an anarcho-communist society, but that won't work. Anarcho-communism is a complete pipe dream. It only works on like a small commune with like a dozen or so people who all know each other personally or are related. On a societal level, there's no way that can work because you would need a a level of trust among people in a society that has never been attained and never will be attained. So communism might work if human nature didn't exist. It is the most pipe dream of every single utopian ideology. It is the most absurd. It won't work because of how human nature do. But the thing you got to look out for with all utopian ideologies, be it communism, be it fascism, and fascism is a lot closer to communism than either party would like to admit. But the thing about utopians is they're always only one more corpse away from utopia. There's always one more group of dissidents that needs to be crushed, always one more kulak who needs to be killed. And it creates this machine that eats itself. They're horrific ideologies because they justify any amount of violence for the sake of making the world better. They set themselves up on a moral high ground and use that as justification for untold levels of cruelty and violence. And also, you're correct. Fascism and socialism come from a very similar place, ideologically speaking. Neither the socialists nor the fascists would like to admit that, but it's true. They are much more similar to one another than a lot of them would like to admit. Yeah, I would argue pretty much the entire authoritarian half of the political compass is some stripe of has some tone of socialism in it. And I would argue that what you're really dealing with here is not an issue of right versus left. It's much more an issue of of authoritarian versus libertarian. And also, you're correct. Hitler was not fond of the free market in the slightest, and he did nationalize pretty much all of Germany's industries. What are you fighting over? That's fine with me. Yeah, as long as they're fighting, they're not fighting me. Yeah, I would argue that's the case with pretty much anybody who is sold on a utopian ideology. All right, who can we buy? Take these guys. It might be. Yeah, Vlad the Third killed Romania with his constant drunkenness. I might give this an attempt at some point in the future, but yeah, that's a dead run, I think. Hmm. Let's see about the Viking Age. Let's have an earlier start. The thing with playing Alfred right off the start is that it's pretty likely your brother has a kid himself. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I will play as Ethelred, and then when I die, my brother will take over, and then we'll play as Alfred. So, wealth focus. And I actually know a fair amount about. I can, but I don't. You know, let me give that a go first. But I actually do know a fair amount about Alfred. Um, he is one of the most fascinating figures of the Anglo-Saxon age. That's another way to do it. Um, but Alfred is, I mean, he's one of the only English kings, and he's the only king of England who was ethnically English to receive the title of the Great. King Canute the Great. Can I do it? Not quite. All right, let's see here. Intrigue. None of them are willing to do it. Yeah, that's the problem is the problem with playing Alfred is usually your idiot brother gives away London, even though it's a really powerful holding, and he usually will set up in Winchester, which, I mean, historically was the capital of Wessex at the time, but it's still a pain in the ass. So yeah, we'll play Ethelred. and we will die, and we will give the kingdom to Alfred. So let's actually expand his holdings, shall we? Yeah. So what I'm gonna give him some land because he's gonna succeed me anyway. Give some land to some of my knights. Let's give him Oxfordshire, Berkshire. Can probably give away that one as well. Let's grant him the Isle of Wight. Need to give away two more. Or I get married to a woman who is too old to have kids. Also, yeah, so what I'll do, there is nobody old enough. Damn. But here's what I can do. Get 3 stewardship. Nice. Also, you are correct there. Because I don't know why they give away London. It is one of the most powerful holdings in the entire game. Let's see, can I get a better one? I'll make him my steward. Assign her. Why does she not like me? Short reign. I can deal with that. She will like me soon. I'm gonna keep my men out of this because this war is unwinnable. And yeah, that is true. It just is a real pain in the ass. London didn't become the capital of any kind of an English kingdom until Alfred's son Edward made it the capital of Wessex. All right, she's older, so hopefully we don't have to worry about any kids coming along. But her stewardship is relatively low. I'm going to move my capital here. Okay, can't do it because I'm at war. And yeah, might as well do that. Alright, time to die. No, wait, shit. Yes, that's what I want. Come on, kill me. Somebody kill me. I want to die. Oh, yeah. Can definitely do that. Actually, why don't I put it up here? There we go. That should work fine. Perfect. Yeah, because there's going to be no alerts coming in up here. Alright. I want to die. Somebody kill me. Yeah, I can do that. Shit, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted Come on, give me this. Streamlabs is being stupid. There we go. Hmm. Alright, we are still at war, so let's see if we can go get myself killed. Let's lower her feudal taxes. Come on, kill me. There we go. Alright, I'm imprisoned. Please murder me. Just execute me. Damn it, that is not what I wanted to happen. Shit. Damn it. Well, we're starting that again. That did not go how I hoped it would. This little bastard ruined everything. I know why they labeled him as hard now, because... Alright, how old is she? Let's divorce her. This is just painful. That is, the hardware demands of this game are much higher than I anticipated they would be. Alright, let's... I gotcha. Yeah, no, Yeah, it's... The 3D graphics, I think it would really kill it, but... It is much more difficult. CK2 was super easy to run on pretty much anything. Alright, my command skill is lower this time around, so hopefully I die. No, don't send for a doctor. Hopefully they kill me. Damn. Here I was hoping the disease would off me. I'm really sorry to hear that. It is a really fun game, especially once with all the mechanics they added in through all the DLCs. Would one of you Viking armies just kill me? Also, that would be cool if you got a slightly earlier start date on it. Is there anything I can do to make you more likely to die? Yeah, I mean it took us a long ass time to get Victoria 3, so will we ever we might not see EU 5 in our lifetime. Well, shit. uh, this is not going well. It's a shame. I know a lot about. I could go into the history of Alfred, but I can't seem to get this off the ground. Okay, what to do here? Look at all the Carlings. Could do the Carling Kings of France. That could be fun. Or Asturias. That could also be fun. The old Visigothic culture that was represented here. Yeah, I think that might be my only real option for an Alfred run. I hope so. I also just hope he doesn't give away London. And there he goes. What an idiot. Of course he'd do that. Also, very nice. That is a really fast siege. All right, there we go. Well, we are now the lords of Wessex, but we don't have London. All right, what can we do here? Give him Oxfordshire. Give you. Oh, he's a monk. I can't do that. Plegmund. I like your name. Let's give you South Saxony. All right, there we go. Move my capital to Winchester, which was. Oh wait, I can't. No, not while I'm at war. And we're stressed now. So historically, Alfred of Wessex was an interesting guy. He far from the portrayal of him in this game where he's kind of this like strong soldier type, he was not that historically. He actually was physically rather frail. He suffered from a sort of palsy, some sort of neurological condition that deprived him of very dexterous use of his body. He was a Yes, you are correct, but he had a brilliant mind for strategy, but he was not a very gifted soldier physically. And honestly, his greatest contribution to English English history is his knowledge. He was a very brilliant thinker, and he made a lot of learning about English history possible. He was a patron of the arts, a patron of scholarship, and he was almost universally loved by his people. I'll take that. And farms and fields, because I'm going to move the capital here for now. And we just got the title even though we haven't really done anything. Alright, so we got to figure out who we can actually go after. Now, historically, Wessex was all that was left because the Vikings did successfully conquer Mercia. Yes. So, despite his physical disability, it didn't slow him down at all. Range, network of merchants, yes. Where's the barber in this game? Oh, there it is, I think. Yep, barbershop. Beard. I didn't finish it. It kind of got cursed because I had a real shitty ruler that wound up losing the kingdom. Yeah, it was one crappy ruler, and every single vassal I had managed to claim the throne, and it was an unwinnable civil war. So now we're doing a semi historical run as Alfred the Great of England, which is honestly very much in my wheelhouse because it did a whole episode, two whole episodes actually, on the Anglo Saxons. Oh, yeah, I can change that. There we go. So I have done a couple episodes on the Anglo Saxons, and they were a fascinating people. Um, they're almost lost to history because we've had Anglo-Norman England for so long, which is very different from Anglo-Saxon England in a lot of ways. But the main difference is that in Anglo-Saxon England, most people were. Also, he does look a bit like the Yes Chad. But in Anglo-Saxon England, fine, we'll take reclusive. Anyway, most of the people were free. Like they owned their own land. They weren't serfs. They were freed men. There was feudalism, but it was not nearly as stark or as widespread as it was in continental Europe. Also, because she might end up being my heir, I will educate her. Give her marshal. Somebody's got to fight the Vikings. Um, where was I? Right. So most people in Anglo-Saxon England were freedmen. They owned their own land. They owned their own everything basically. Um, you don't really see sort of continental style feudalism until the Normans conquer England. Then also that is some what happened. That is some very early crusading going on. Well, that's weird. Anyway, so but actually Edward was a very interesting fellow himself. But there was this whole mythology that emerged about Alfred the Great. One of my favorites being that he once played the harp all night for a group of Viking soldiers. Yeah, modern England is Anglo-Norman England. Every modern English king, from William the Conqueror to Elizabeth II, can trace their well, they can all trace their lineage back to William the Bastard. At some point in their ancestry, that was the guy they came from, and the Normans brought with them a lot of continental language and continental political structures. So the English language used to be far more Germanic. So if you ever listen to some like reconstructed Anglo-Saxon English, it sounds a lot like Dutch or German because it used to be a very, very close cousin of those languages. Um, since the French invasion and the French influence on English culture and language, um, it's gotten less, although it is still very identifiably a Germanic language, it is not nearly as Germanic as it once was. Um, and honestly, the Anglo-Saxons were also had a very interesting political structure. It wasn't a hereditary monarchy; it was an elective monarchy, sort of. It was kind of this weird combination between the two. But new kings were selected in a event called, I believe it was called the Verguild, or the Wittengemot. The Wittengemot was the council of nobles that would elect a new king. And they met at the death of the old king, and more often than not, they just elected his son. But if a king was particularly hated, his dynasty could lose the throne. And Anglo-Saxon individuals had like rights, which was revolutionary for the ninth century. Um, the king wasn't just completely unrestricted; he couldn't do whatever the fuck he felt like. And honestly, that independent streak did survive in English culture, right up through the Normans, and that's how you get like the Magna Carta is a good example of that sort of independent-minded, free culture that, despite the best efforts of the Normans, they still weren't able to really stamp out. On the continent, sure, but the Anglo Saxons were. I would argue that yeah, sure, they did invade and they did take land from the Celts, but the average person living in Anglo-Saxon England had a much better go of things than the average person living under a Celtic lord because the Celts were still using something much closer to like continental feudalism, where nobody really owned the land they worked. But in Anglo-Saxon England, you usually did own the land that you worked. You Yeah, I would argue that in terms of individual freedom, the Germans do deserve more credit, but I would argue that in terms of individual freedom, Anglo-Saxon England was better than the late Roman Empire or any of the other barbarian kingdoms that emerged in the wake of it. I'm not getting involved in this crusade just yet. And actually, as far as gender equality goes, Anglo-Saxon England was considerably better than what you got on the continent. And this is kind of demonstrated in the fact that it was one of the few places where women could legitimately inherit titles from their fathers. So Alfred, the guy we're playing as right now, he had two kids who inherited land from him. His son Edward inherited Wessex, which is largely this territory that I'm in control of right now. And there's a bit more complexity to it, but you're not wrong that the barbarians did ultimately make things a bit better for the people of Europe. But his daughter, she inherited Mercia, um, partially through marriage, but she took over Mercia, and she became known as the Lady of the Mercians. And part of what made them so effective in driving the Vikings out is Edward down in Wessex would hammer the Vikings hard from the south. And then when he finished his war, he would retreat back to Wessex, and then his sister would begin attacking them from the west. And when she was done, Edward would resume his attack, and the Vikings never got a sustained period of peace to recover, but both Wessex and Mercia did. So Wessex and Mercia were constantly on the attack, and the Vikings were constantly on the defense. And through that, the both the children of Alfred drove the Vikings out. That is not something that could have happened in continental Europe because under the Salic law that underpinned the legal systems of most Germanic kingdoms, um, women couldn't inherit at all. And actually, this is part of the reason for the Hundred Years' War. Um, so under English law, the King of England inherited the title of the Kingdom of France through his mother, who had been one of the princesses of France. So she had a claim on the throne per English law, but not per French law. So the English believed they had a legitimate claim to the throne through the mother of a past king, whereas the French were like, women can't inherit. You have no claim because your mother had no claim herself. And again, it's Anglo-Saxon law is very different from the Salic law of the continent, and you can even still see it today. The underpinning of English common law, the U.S. legal system, and most of the legal systems in the former British Empire can be traced back to the original principles of Anglo-Saxon law, one of the most important ones being innocent until proven guilty. It was one of the few legal systems in all of human history where the innocence of the accused was assumed. And it's still only in legal systems based on English common law, which draws very heavily from Anglo-Saxon culture and belief, that you have rights as someone accused. You're assumed innocent unless the person accusing can prove your guilt. In other legal systems, you had to prove your own innocence, which doesn't go that well and leads to some nefariousness on the part of people who might have it out for you. So a lot of the legal freedoms that we take for granted go back to Anglo-Saxon England. Another innovation that Alfred made that was absolutely vital to surviving the Vikings is that he introduced the system of burhs, which were sort of walled towns that made up the vast majority of the sort of major settlements in Wessex. Now, these burhs, yeah, get out of here. We will see what happens. Hopefully that happens. They've already conquered East Anglia, so we won't get that, but maybe we'll get Mercia. But anyway, where was I? See, Anglo-Saxon England does not get enough credit. They were a fascinating people. And is this interesting thing if you look at England from a genetic standpoint? Um, there is also that's true. There is um, there is a stark genetic divide between the English upper class and the rest of England, whereas members of English people not descended from the nobility are far more genetically Anglo-Saxon. You can see much more of the French influence from a genetic standpoint in the English nobility, because the Normans didn't come over in particularly large numbers. So they were sort of this ruling elite over a largely Anglo Saxon population, which is also part of why, yes, so up until post Hundred Years' War, English monarchs didn't even really use English much. Like they knew it, but their preferred language in the court was French. So let's take noble veins. So if actually, let me while I'm thinking about it, give me 1 second here. Yes, that is correct. Normandy was actually the primary holding of the kings of England for quite a while. Let me, because honestly, I will always simp for the Anglo Saxons, and I am always eager for people to learn more about them. Because it's sort of this lost period in English history where it's not for most English history classes you will take begin in 1066 with the Norman conquest. But English history goes back arguably to the 5th or 6th centuries when the Anglo-Saxons first arrived on on Great Britain. So I did 2 episodes on Anglo-Saxon England in my previous series. So this one is the first part. I'm putting it in the chat. Um, and this one, hold on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. And this one is the second part, which the episode 10, Land of Hope and Glory, specifically covers Alfred. So those 2 episodes cover most of the early part of Anglo-Saxon history. So if you are curious about them, give them a listen. That was before I had started making video content, so I only have the audio of those. Alright, we have crop fields in Winchester. Let's upgrade our trade port, make some extra money. So right now I'm actually doing what Alfred did to England historically, which was he built it up. He invested in England, really built it into a kingdom capable of fighting the Vikings. And I would argue you probably don't even see an England at all, um, except for the yeah. So you really don't see an England at all except for the Viking invasions, because throughout most of Anglo-Saxon history, it was divided between 7 kingdoms called the Heptarchy. And also, I love how this episode on a Romanian playthrough turned into an Anglo-Saxon history lesson. So let me pull up a picture of it, or a map. So there were 7 Anglo-Saxon kingdoms that developed after the initial invasion. Let me pull it over here. And yeah, that was part of his whole burr system. Is hold on, that didn't show up exactly. So Wessex was one of, and honestly, I say Heptarchy. There were three important kingdoms and four much more minor kingdoms, and none of it's coming up. Anyway, so you have Wessex, which is where we are now. You have Mercia, which covered roughly this area, and then you have Northumbria, which covered largely northern England. But then you have East Anglia, Sussex, um, Wessex, and Kent, I think. Yeah, so Sussex, Essex, yeah. But the three most important kingdoms were Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria, all of which in Anglo-Saxon history have their period in the sun. So Northumbria is my personal favorite of early Anglo-Saxon history because that was where you had there was this great academic revival in Northumbria, and Northumbrian um, leaders were not necessarily. So Mercia had its time in the sun before the Vikings arrived, true, but before Mercia had its real powerhouse moment, Northumbria was the first to really rise to prominence, and Northumbria ruled largely through its soft power. It was home to huge numbers of monasteries and brilliant academics. So actually, several of Charlemagne's best advisors were Northumbrians. Alcuin of York, in particular, was one of Charlemagne's most brilliant court academics. Who, yes, Northumbria was the first Anglo-Saxon kingdom attacked by the Vikings, but it it was this place of academic brilliance that was renowned throughout Europe. Yeah, the monastery at Lindisfarne, which is right up here, thereabouts. There was also one out here, although I'm on Iona, that was also attacked, but they were Celts, not Anglo Saxons. So actually, it might show up. No, I don't. So yeah, there we have Northumbria came down a bit further, but a lot of brilliant thinkers, and also yeah. So Northumbria fell apart, um, and Mercia's real period of domination was when the Anglo Saxons were still pagan. It was during the transitional period from the invasion to the conversion to Christianity, where Mercia was the most staunchly pagan kingdom of the lot. And their last king, pagan king, Penda, managed to forcefully unite most of Great Britain, but it fell apart because of this sort of independent streak of the Anglo Saxons. Now, with the Vikings, you have an external heathen enemy that speaks a different language, comes from a different culture. That galvanized the English people and formed an idea of England as a nation. And it's that idea that Alfred was able to capitalize on by sort of representing the whole of the English people against the Vikings. And he became a rallying point for all of them, whether they be from Wessex or Essex or Northumbria or Mercia. So they all loved Alfred. And it was his grandson that was able to formally unite the formerly independent Anglo-Saxon kingdoms into the crown of England. Um, and that's where Anglo-Saxon England really begins in the 10th century. Granted, the unified kingdom doesn't last all that long, and in about a century the Normans invade. Oh, I paused it. Sorry, I was going on full history rant mode. Um, but I think on that note, I will call it, and we will resume this Alfred the Great run on Sunday. So until then, I've been Renegade Historian, and have a wonderful night, everybody.